The lowest price isn't always the best price. In this video, we're looking at how to avoid lowering your price or feeling like you need to lower your price to be more attractive to get people to buy from you. How do you justify the price to your buyer? Now, there's over 80 different ways you can do this, and I'll put a link below so you can check out what all those ways are. But in this video, we're going to look at two kind of high-level steps, two things that you can do to avoid lowering the price of your offerings. You can sell it for what it's worth, and you can just have absolute faith in the value that you're offering without feeling like, oh, I just need to say yes to any price just to do the deal, because people just aren't seeing the true value of what you're offering. So the first thing that we can do is to reframe the deliverable. So the deliverable is what they're getting: a product, a service, an outcome. And we need to reframe this. And there's a couple of different ways we can do this to help your buyer see the value that they're getting differently. So none of these are going to be about, oh, you should lower your price. No, that's what we're trying to stop. But this is how do we reframe it so they can really see the value. The first one is ROI, which stands for return on investment. There's over 19 different ways that you can articulate the return on investment for something. It's not all just money. I'll give you, you give me £2 and I'll give you £10 back. But what's the ROI, the return on investment of your offering? When somebody gives you money, buys your product, whatever, what do they get in return? It doesn't have to be money. It has to be something tangible, quantifiable. So it could be they get access to stuff. They might save time. They might save money. Obviously, money will come into the equation. Save money, make money, save time, have access to stuff, opportunities, certain feelings, all sorts of different things. But what do they really get for the money? What's the return on their investment? Don't get hung up on it must be a numerical monetary figure. It's a red herring. But what do they get? What's the return on investment? What do we get for the money? It's answering that question, first of all, ROI, return on investment. Next one is COI, which stands for cost of inaction, cost of inaction. So if somebody comes to you with a problem, if they don't do anything about their problem, the problem will get worse, almost certainly. And depending on what the problem is, the speed with which it will deteriorate and get worse will differ. But it stands to reason that if you have a problem and you do nothing about it, it's like 99.999% of the time, it will get, I've got a leaky roof. If I don't do anything, it will get worse. If my teeth are rotting and need fixing, they will get worse. So most of the time, it'll get worse. So what's the cost to your buyer? Now, it could be a financial cost, but again, it doesn't have to be. But what is the cost? What happens if they don't do anything? Inaction. They take no action on this whatsoever. And then we ask them this question. So we say, look, if you don't fix this, if you don't address your teeth now, James, in the next 6 months, you might find that you actually have to have all of your teeth removed, or whatever it happens to be. It might be as dramatic as that. And then you say these magic words, are you okay with that? Are you okay with that? And I love, are you okay with that? Because it's essentially, well, I wouldn't be okay with that. You're mad. What are you doing? So, what's the cost of inaction? If you don't do this, you might find that you'll lose £1,000 over the next 2 days, whatever. Are you okay with that? Because if you are okay with that, then that's fine. But I'm not sure if I'd be okay with that kind of thing. So we've got ROI, return on investment, COI, cost of inaction, all the acronyms today. Then we have DIY, do it yourself. Simple. So it's very common that people want to do things themselves. Apart from extract your own, I'll just extract my own teeth. That's less likely to happen. But I might fix my own toilet or put some fencing or do something around the house or whatever. Maybe try my own marketing branding campaign at a company or something. I have the foggiest clue how to do it. If somebody DIYs the solution instead of buying yours, there are a lot of different things that can go wrong, but you need to be able to articulate it. So you need to say, look, of course you can do this yourself, but be careful because it will probably take you longer. It will probably cost you more in the long run. There's a cost of opportunity because you're spending the time doing this when you can do something else. You might make a mistake because you don't know what you're doing. Obviously, you can't say you don't know what you're doing. That's a bit rude. You have to find a better way of saying that, but you get the point. But there's a number of different things here, and your buyer's probably not aware of them because they're thinking, doing it myself is free because they don't see their own wages and time as a cost, right? Well, doing it myself is free. Doing it with James is lots of money. I'll just do it myself then. Seems like a good deal. But if it takes longer, if it doesn't get you the result you want, if you make a mistake, that could affect all sorts of things. If it takes ages to come, it's kind of like cost of inaction, but it's delay. So if you don't do it for 3 months and I could have done it in 3 minutes, there's a cost there. and so on and so forth. But with all three of these things, return on investment, cost of inaction, and DIY, we're reframing the price in the mind of the buyer. So rather than saying, oh, we'll drop the price, please. Oh, we'd love to sell to you. That'll be wonderful. We're saying, well, hang on a minute. Let me just explain this to you so you can really understand what you're getting for the money. And if we get this bit right, then we should be able to justify the price in their mind. The bottom line here is that every decision has a cost. Whether they choose to use you or not use you, etc., nothing is free, nothing is without consequence, everything has a cost. And as long as you're good at what you're doing and you're professional and reliable and people can, your solutions actually work, then you should be the best choice and the best value choice for your buyer. But it's up to you to be able to try and explain that and justify the price rather than lowering the price and thinking that being the cheapest thing in town is the best thing to do. So the second thing we can look at, rather than lowering our price, so obviously we can reframe what we're doing, but we can just add more to the deliverable. Now, I'm not saying, if I'm going to sell you 6 apples for £1, oh, go on, then you can have 400 apples for £1, because that's obviously not a very good commercial decision. So adding more deliverable with the caveat that we're not adding a huge amount of cost and completely eroding our profit margin. But it's much better to sell for this price and just give them a little bit more than to drop to this price, because the perception then drops to this price forevermore and it's very difficult to go back up. So you can add to the deliverable. Don't decrease the price, increase what they get. And then we need to think about what are those things? What can we give them? That could be extras, so extra little things. Hopefully these are things that are digital products or access to things that don't really take human time or don't take actual physical raw materials. If they do, then this may not be viable for you. So you've got to do your own calculations on what's commercially viable for you. But adding extras, giving access to stuff. So if I gave you access to one of my training courses, it doesn't cost me anything, so to speak, but it's of value to you because I charge money for those training courses ultimately. Could be support. Again, I charge for people to have access to me for support, but I could give it to you for free. It's much more conducive for me than just lowering my price and then lowering your confidence in what we're doing. Or it could be that we just do things over the longer term. So if you're buying a 6-month coaching package with me or whatever it might happen to be, so it's a bit expensive, can you do it cheaper? I said, well, I can't drop the price, but how about this? We'll do it for 7 months. I'll give you a month extra for free, blah, 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 blah. How does that sound to you? Are you okay with that? So looking at extras, access, support, going a bit more long term, giving them more deliverable rather than dropping the price, because having the lowest price can actually be a deterrent. And a great example here is if you go to a restaurant and you look at a restaurant menu, all of the main meals are £25, so 25, 25, 25, and there's one there for £8. Now at the back in the kitchen, the chef's there thinking, oh, really want to sell our new special, Dave, only priced at £8. They should sell really well because you've made it really affordable. And in the dining room, everybody's looking at it going, blimey, what's wrong with it? Why is it only £8 instead of 25 or 12 quid or whatever? Why is it so cheap? So having the lowest price can sometimes or often be a deterrent. We think it makes things more attractive. It can actually be a deterrent because a lower price implies lower value. And a higher price implies higher value. So it's important that where possible, we don't drop our price, we add more deliverable to what we're doing, or we reframe the value that the buyer's going to get and weigh up kind of the cost to them about what their true choices really are.